American Ricky Rialto, the voice of Kingston Falls, USA.
Gremlins is the classic Joe Dante movie about violent creatures that wreak havoc in a small town. It's a PG movie from back in the day when PG apparently just meant it wasn't a cartoon and any nudity was tastefully done. Literally everything else was allowed because this movie is delightfully violent as Gremlins begins with inventor Rand Peltzer going to Chinatown to move a little product and find a present for his kid. He enters a store that most definitely sells opium and tries to convince the proprietor to stock his bathroom buddy invention. Look around you, Rand. Man, his business instincts are on point. He stumbles upon a mogwai and decides it's the perfect gift to buy for his large adult son. The mogwai comes with 3 main rules.
Keep him out of the light. He hates bright light, especially sunlight. It'll kill him. Don't get him wet. But the most important rule, never feed him after midnight.
We meet Rand's big boy, Billy, who works at a bank. And the town is basically run by local evil witch Mrs. Deagle, who threatens to murder Billy's dog because he broke her yard ornament.
Says you're just like your father. I've listened to his miserable excuses for 10 years, the loser.
You know, Mrs. Deagle is a horrible woman, but she kind of makes a good point here about Rand. I mean, she's not wrong. You know, and it's really hard to gauge how old Billy's supposed to be. To listen to his parents talk about him, you would think that he was supposed to be 12 years old. But he looks older than I am now. I mean, Billy's mom is deeply unhappy, and it's just very sad. Definitely one of the most depressing subplots about this movie. Rand gives his adult baby boy an exotic animal with really specific instructions like it's just no big deal. Like you have to take a class to learn how to take care of a parrot. But Rand just buys an animal that's not even listed on the zoological record, and Rand's fully grown man-child proceeds to break all 3 rules in record time. Okay, Billy, I don't know how old you're supposed to be, but I'm guessing it's not an age that's appropriate for you to take your shirt off while your young neighbor boy is in your room. They spill water on Gizmo and he pops out 5 more mogwais, which are decidedly more mischievous, or dickish, if you will, and they are led by the biggest dick of them all, Stripe. And Rand, in true snake oil mode, wants to market them and sell them.
Why, I'll bet every kid in America would like to have one of these. They might even replace the dog as the family pet.
You don't even know how these work. You didn't even know they did this a half hour ago. Maybe research some of this stuff, you big weirdo.
You're late for the big meeting. You forgot to shave. Watch this. Voila. What do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Oh man, Billy doesn't actually think it's neat. He's being forced to treat his dad like a child to spare his feelings. And his dad, in turn, treats his 20-something-year-old little baby boy like a child, and it's just a weird cycle of dependent personality disorder. There's a lot of mental illness going through this family.
It's gonna be all right.
I don't know, man.
Did Rand actually have the temerity to invent things that already exist? And that's not even a prototype. That is a finished product. I mean, really, he invented a juicer and a coffee maker? I mean, seriously, the balls on this guy. Billy runs into a 70-year-old woman as he's heading to school, and oh my god, that's actually Corey Feldman. I thought it was like Billy's aunt or something. Billy takes one of the new mogwais to his science teacher, Mr. Hansen, and just starts getting it wet. Like, he's not even writing down any hypotheses or anything. And wait a minute, so is Billy in high school? Is this his current teacher? What is your age, old boy? The evil mogwais managed to very easily trick Billy into feeding him after midnight. But honestly, if that's a Peltzer brand clock, then it would have stopped working eventually, so this course of events was inevitable. And the next morning, Billy's room has 5 cocoons that formed overnight. But honestly, this looks like the bedroom of any young boy aged 15 through 27, which is the best estimate I can give for Billy's actual age. And I feel like the proprietor of that opium den could have clarified the rules just a smidge more. So the cocoons hatch? Is that the proper term for what a cocoon does? Hold on, my assistant Jerry is Googling it as we speak. Alright, what do you got? Alright, so the cocoons splooge open and the gremlins emerge from the milky and begin their reign of terror. That sounds right, I guess. And Lynn Peltzer releases all of her pent-up rage and disappointment at how her life turned out and viciously dispatches 3 of the gremlins single-handedly. I wonder how many lists of the most badass movie characters have ever included Lynn Peltzer. Of the initial 6 gremlins, she killed half of them by herself, and who is that toy robot for? Is that for Billy? What in God's name is going on here? Stripe manages to escape and makes his way to the local YMCA where he creates hundreds more gremlins. Although, I don't know that this should really be possible, since getting wet and forming other gremlins is like stage 2 in the mogwai metamorphosis, and the gremlins are already in their final stage. So the gremlins start terrorizing the town and kill the Futtermans and the evil real estate hag, Mrs. Deagle. And can we take a moment to appreciate the fact that even though they are singing gibberish, they all look at their lyric sheet multiple times? This movie is so funny, and as a kid, I mainly focused on the traumatizing aspects. As kids do, because, as I pointed out, kids are stupid. So the gremlins take over the whole town, and during the siege, Kate and Billy get a quiet moment alone where she tells the most horrifyingly depressing story ever.
It was Christmas Eve. I was 9 years old, waiting for Dad to come home from work. Christmas Day came and went, and still nothing. I went to try to light up the fire, and that's when I noticed the smell. Firemen came and broke through the chimney top. They pulled out my father. He was dressed in a Santa Claus suit. He slipped and broke his neck, died instantly. And that's how I found out there was no Santa Claus.
You know, Joe Dante had to fight to keep this in the movie, and now that the scars have healed, I'm glad he did. So they managed to blow up the movie theater with all of the gremlins except Stripe, and the epic showdown commences. Careful, Kate. Billy might be underage. The jury's still out on that one. So Billy proves to be no match for Stripe, but luckily Gizmo comes along and saves him from almost certain death, and oh look, Rand finally showed up. And you can tell he's seen some shit on his sales trips because he does not seem fazed by any of this. So the news picks up the story and they think that it's all just town hysteria caused by something, and no one really knows anything about the gremlins. And then Gizmo's true owner shows up and just completely emasculates Rand in front of his family. Which isn't that hard, but still, not cool, man. And so even after an entire town just kind of blew up, this old man still decides that Billy might be ready for a mogwai someday. And so we get a semi-happy ending, even though Rand really should be arrested for what? Is it involuntary manslaughter at the least? I mean, there's probably a whole laundry list of crimes he's committed. Alright, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Or don't. I don't give a shit. Do whatever, man. Always looking to me for what to do next. I'm not in charge of you.